The secret power of reading aloud. Can it really change your English? Welcome to my channel, Simply Listen. Tell me honestly, when was the last time you read something out loud? Maybe long ago, maybe in school. What if I told you that this simple habit, reading aloud, could make you speak English better, remember faster, and even feel more confident? Sounds too simple to be true, right? But science and experience say otherwise. So, sit back with me for a few minutes. Let's discover together how your own voice can become your best English teacher. And tell me in the comments, do you ever read aloud when you study English? Chapter 1, The Forgotten Art. Once upon a time, reading aloud was natural. Children read stories to their friends. Teachers read poems in class. Parents read letters to each other. The voice was part of learning. But as the world became faster, quieter, and more digital, this art slowly disappeared. People started reading silently, only in their heads. The lips stopped moving. The voice went silent. And with that silence, something beautiful was lost. When we read aloud, words don't just stay on paper. They become sound, breath, and music. They move through our body, through our tongue and throat, and reach our heart. We feel the story, not just see it. Silent reading feeds the mind, but reading aloud, it feeds the soul. You may think reading aloud is only for children. But no, even the greatest speakers, writers, and thinkers in history practiced it. They read their ideas out loud to hear their own thoughts clearly. There is something magical that happens when your own voice becomes your teacher. Something that silent reading can never give. Chapter 2. When the voice becomes the teacher. When you read aloud, you are not just reading, you are listening. You hear the shape of words. You feel how your tongue moves. You notice your pauses, your breath, your tone. This is how real learning happens, through sound and feeling. The voice corrects what the eyes miss. When you read silently, your eyes may jump over mistakes. But when you speak, your ears catch them. Your mouth remembers what your eyes forget. Every time you read aloud, your brain creates stronger connections between sound, meaning, and memory. The same sentence that you forget after reading silently, you remember easily when you read it aloud. It is as if the brain whispers, "Ah, I've heard this before. I know this." That's why children who read stories aloud learn faster. And that's why English learners who speak what they read gain confidence faster than those who stay silent. The voice becomes the bridge between knowing and understanding. Chapter 3, The Music of Words. Every language has rhythm. English has its own gentle music, stress, tone, pause, and flow. When you read aloud, you begin to feel that music. Your mouth dances with words. You start noticing how one word flows into the next. The sun rises in the east. Say it aloud slowly. Hear how it feels. This rhythm is the secret of fluency. People often ask, how can I speak English like a native? The answer is not in vocabulary lists or grammar books. It's in rhythm, and rhythm is born only when you read aloud. When you whisper the words, your brain learns their melody. When you sing the sentences softly, your tongue becomes lighter. Reading aloud trains your mouth to move smoothly without fear. That's how language becomes music. and you, the reader, become the instrument. Chapter 4: The Science Behind the Sound. Science agrees with this old wisdom. When you read aloud, your brain lights up in more areas than when you read silently. The language part, the memory part, and the motor control part all work together. It's called multisensory learning, learning through eyes, ears, and voice at the same time. That's why actors memorize scripts by reading them aloud again and again. That's why poets test their poems by speaking them softly. Because hearing your own voice creates echoes in the brain. Deep, strong, and lasting. One small experiment proved it beautifully. Students were asked to learn a list of new words. Half read them silently, half read them aloud. When tested later, the ones who read aloud remembered almost twice as much. The simple science, but powerful. Speaking helps you store knowledge deeper. When you read aloud, you're not only learning English. You're teaching yourself in your own voice. Chapter 5: The Mirror Exercise. There's a small exercise that can change your English completely. It's called the mirror reading exercise. Stand before a mirror. Hold a small book or even a printed paragraph. Now start reading aloud softly but clearly. Look into your own eyes while speaking. Notice your lips, your expressions, your confidence. First, it feels strange. Your voice may sound different. You may feel shy. But slowly, something starts to change. You begin to notice your mistakes without judgment. You see how you pronounce words. You start enjoying your own rhythm. Within a week, your confidence grows. Within a month, your pronunciation improves. Within a few months, you speak like someone new. Because when you read aloud in front of the mirror, you're not only learning English. You're learning to love your own voice. Chapter 6: The Emotional Connection. There is something emotional about reading aloud. When you speak the words, they don't just touch your ears. They touch your heart. They live longer inside you. Have you ever read a poem aloud and suddenly felt tears rise in your eyes? That's the power of spoken words. When you read aloud, you breathe life into the sentence. You become part of the story. Your breath becomes the wind that carries meaning. That's why reading aloud is not just an English exercise. It's an emotional exercise. Connects your mind with your feelings. And when language and emotion meet, true learning happens. This is why storytellers, teachers, and saints spoke, not just wrote. Because the spoken word carries energy that printed words cannot. So next time when you pick a story, don't just read it. Feel it. Say it. Let your heart speak through your lips. Chapter 7: The Fear of Sound. Many English learners say, "I feel nervous to read aloud. My accent is not good. My pronunciation is wrong." But that's where the healing begins. You don't read aloud to sound perfect. You read aloud to sound free. Mistakes are not enemies. They are small teachers. Every wrong sound shows you the right one next time. Don't wait for confidence to begin reading aloud. Begin reading aloud, and confidence will come running to you. Close your room door, pick a page, and just start. Let the words flow like a river, even if you stumble. With every attempt, your fear gets smaller. Your tongue becomes braver. Your mind becomes lighter. Soon you realize you were never afraid of English. You were only afraid of your own voice. And now that voice has become your friend. Chapter 8: The Voice and Memory. When you read aloud, you give your brain more chances to remember. Think of it this way: when you read silently, only your eyes are working. But when you read aloud, your eyes, ears, mouth, and mind all work together. Each word becomes an experience. Your brain stores it in more places, not just in memory but also in sound. That's why sometimes you remember a line because of how it sounded, not just what it meant. Try this experiment. Take one short story, read it silently once, then read it aloud once. A day later, try to recall what you read. You'll notice the one you read aloud stays clearer, because your voice leaves a mark in your memory, and that mark shines longer. Chapter 9: Reading Aloud with Emotion. Once you become comfortable with reading aloud, start adding feeling. This is where English becomes alive. Don't just speak words, live them. When a line says, "He was happy," smile softly. When it says, "She was afraid," slow down your tone. When the story turns sad, let your voice become quiet. This emotional reading is like acting with words. It helps you understand meaning deeply. You stop memorizing. You start feeling. Your brain connects emotion to memory, and that makes learning permanent. You'll start noticing that your natural speaking style becomes more expressive. People will listen to you, not just hear you, because the one who feels what he reads becomes powerful in every language. Chapter 10: The Gift of Consistency. The secret of reading aloud is not in doing it once. It's in doing it every day. Even 5 minutes a day is enough to change your fluency forever. Morning or night, find a quiet moment and read something aloud. Choose a poem, a paragraph, a page from your favorite book, or even your own diary. It doesn't matter what you read. What matters is that your voice travels through the words. Some days you will feel lazy. Some days you will forget. But remember, the voice that learns to speak daily becomes wise. The more you speak aloud, the more natural English becomes. After some months, you'll notice you start thinking in English. You speak without fear. You express emotions easily. That's when you'll realize it all began with that small act of reading aloud. Chapter 11: The Soul of Sound. In every voice lies a soul. When you read aloud, you are not copying the writer. You are awakening your own soul through their words. The sentence leaves the page and becomes part of you. The rhythm of English becomes the rhythm of your heart. It's not just language learning anymore. It's meditation. It's self-discovery. When you speak slowly, your mind slows down. When you pronounce clearly, your thoughts become clear. When you read with feeling, your heart becomes open. So, reading aloud is not only for English fluency, it's for inner peace. It reminds you that learning is not a race. It's a rhythm. Chapter 12: Your Voice, Your Teacher. At the end of this journey, remember one truth. Your best English teacher is not in a classroom or a video. It is you. Your voice is your greatest guide. It teaches, corrects, encourages, and heals. So tonight, before you sleep, pick a small story. Open your book. Read it softly, aloud. Feel the sound of your own words. Listen to how English travels through your breath. Smile at your mistakes. Love your progress, because in that quiet room, with just your voice and your heart, you are not only learning a language, you are awakening your inner power. Final words. The secret lives in your voice. Reading aloud may look simple, but it's one of the most powerful habits ever known. It improves memory, pronunciation, fluency, emotion, confidence, and peace of mind. It's a return to something ancient, something we once did naturally as children, to speak, to listen, to feel. So whenever you open a book, don't let the words stay silent. Set them free. Let them fly through your voice, because in that voice lives your growth. In that sound lives your strength. And in that habit lives the secret power of learning.